Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us here on Big Sioux Media as we are joined once again by Dr. Summer Schultz, Dell Rapids Superintendent. It's been a while since we've done a video update of what's happening with the school, so thank you for joining us as we're hoping to get some information out to the public here this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
So we got a few topics we want to touch on. A few of these might be quick hitters, but graduation, let's quick touch on that. We had the postponement in May of the original date of, with the virus that went through the school, but any updates as far as graduation of the plan in July?
We are still set to have a bit more of a traditional ceremony in July. We have not quite determined the parameters of who can attend. We are hopeful that our seniors will be able to have family members there. Mr. Bunkers is still finalizing some of those details. We know it's going to be outside, weather permitting, and so we're trying to finalize that location. We've considered a couple places here in town and still making those final decisions based on how things change over the next couple weeks here in our state and with recommendations from our Department of Health. But as of right now, we're still set for July 18th, and we're going to hope for the best.
All right. I know another thing that was happening that got started early with the school shut down in the spring is the construction projects. How are those going so far?
They're going great. I actually just came from a construction meeting. We have some really good individuals that are working. Pesca is the main contractor, and we have UNESCO helping us out through project management. And I tell you what, we're in good hands. I go to those meetings and I'm just in awe at all of the things that at those two places have. They're coordinating and saying, this is a quick window to get a project this size done. But they are doing, they're doing great. I know there's some holdups every once in a while with things being brought in. The COVID pandemic has made it sometimes impossible for people to get workers on site to do different parts or construction pieces. So all things considering, they seem to be right on task and time, and we're hoping to be in when school starts.
That sounds great. Now I know that the two that you had emailed me about of wanting to get some information about were Waterford and then a Return to Learn SAFE plan. So let's touch on the Waterford program first. I know that that was used in the K-Prep classes. I know my son used it, but it sounds like you've got some new things coming up for some preschool age kids.
We do, and we tried our best to get this information out to parents earlier this spring, and the great part is that South Dakota has been awarded even more license opportunities for kids. So if you had a K through K prepper through a first grader, you did kind of get a good snapshot of what Waterford is. But because the state of South Dakota doesn't fund preschool, our state has been awarded a federal EIR grant, which has then determined that the Waterford Upstart program is something they're willing to do for our state. So Dell Rapids has already gotten a good chunk of individuals signed up, but I just wanted to put one more plug in for it, that if you have a preschool age child, and that would be if their birthday was between September of 2015 and September of 2016, they would qualify for this free Upstart program. So along with the program, the Waterford program itself, the family would be able to get the device. So they would get an iPad to utilize the program on. They'd get that subscription to the program. And then they would also get access to an instructional coach that would check in, that sort of thing. So the family just has to commit to doing it 5 sessions a week, which session is 15 minutes. So it's not a lot of time commitment, but it would be a chance to get that, even if kids are planning to go to a preschool in town, should the health situation allow it, they can do this to go along with that. And then if for some reason a child is not able to get into preschool, the Waterford Upstart program in other states where preschool hasn't been as available has really shown to help students be prepared for kindergarten. So we just we really want people to look into that. We have a link on our website. People can email me directly if they want, or they can just go to Waterford Upstart Program.
And so right now it's just a kind of a registration type thing, and then this would start more in line with in the fall with when school starts.
Exactly. It runs August. It would begin in August and run through May, and so families would get notified that they have been registered and accepted into it, and then there's just kind of a kickoff, which will be something they have in the past gone to communities for the kickoff, but because parents need to be given their iPad and things, but we don't have information on that yet, and it is completely separate of the school. I've just worked very closely with this company and know that the results they have with these preschool kids in the Upstart program is phenomenal. So,
another question I have about Waterford is you mentioned that the K prep and kindergarten classes kind of use that program. For those of us that had students in that age group, are they still able to utilize that program throughout the summer here to kind of keep their kids engaged with the reading and the math skills that are part of that?
yes, absolutely. We made sure that home component was turned on and available. And so parents who still have that login and password, I say go for it. I know we've been trying to do that here too. And the Waterford program is so individualized so that, kids can continue to progress, not just not have the summer slide, but continue to progress all summer in those two key areas. So yes, we do encourage families to keep utilizing it.
So that turns us to a return to maybe a normal school year, perhaps. I've seen some of the Twitter updates from area schools and area superintendents where they're planning everything from it's going to go back to normal the way it has been to we might start virtually. So can you tell us a little bit about what the Dell Rapids plan might be looking like or what you guys are preparing for?
Yes. Well, I'm going to try to give you the condensed version and knowing there's still so much work to be done, but a lot of people are questioning what our plans are. So what I can say is that we do have a return to learn committee that will be joining forces with my admin team who has already worked a lot on this, just to get that perspective from some parents, some teachers, staff members, that sort of thing. But we are planning 3 different reentries. And what we're classifying different categories of our school day, say operations, staff, attendance, calendar, busing, food service, cafeteria. We're creating different levels for each of those categories. Because we know that even if we were to be fortunate enough to start school at a real low restrictive category, we call that a level 1, meaning it's as back to normal as we can get for any child who can. We also know that in a moment's time or with a quick exposure burst in our community, with community spread, we could have to go from a level 1 of less restrictive to say a level 3 of virtual, depending on just how our community moves through this transition time. So we are creating options for all 3 levels. Our plan right now is to hopefully bring kids in a normal setting, knowing that we do have some guidelines we have to follow and how restrictive and how closely we create our policies to match up with the CDC guidelines is what we have to determine. Everything from, whether individuals wear masks to how many students are able to sit on a school bus, to if we can use cafeteria or if students will come. So we will create 3 levels of plan, an in-house, a virtual, and then a hybrid, knowing that for some of our medically fragile kids anyway, we will have to have a hybrid version of our instruction. So we have 2 really non-negotiables as we plan our re-entry plan, and that is that for staff, our PD is going to need to be front-loaded based on what we learned from this spring. We want to figure out how our staff can take the lessons learned, how our administrators can take the lessons learned and improve even a hybrid form of virtual instruction. So we also know that in every classroom, we have to embed a virtual component because either we will have those medically fragile students who need to be at home and receive their instruction, or worst case scenario is we have another virtual instruction for everyone. And we need to plan for somewhere in between all of that, knowing that we could switch back and forth. So we have been doing some research on what that looks like, some devices that maybe can help kids who are receiving instruction from home be more part of a classroom setting. And so we've done a lot of work, and this committee will try to kind of fine tune that, bring it all in, and help me communicate it to the public once we get a little bit farther down the road.
So with that, and I've seen the universities in South Dakota have already announced we're starting earlier, we're getting out at Thanksgiving. As part of these discussions, is there any thoughts that maybe the school calendar that's been put out, been approved, might change the dates, start dates, vacation times, that sort of thing?
There's a small chance of that. Right now, we haven't made any significant changes to it, with the intent that we are going to be able to, if we needed to front load that PD. I had told the Board of Education on Monday night, if I asked for anything at this time, it might be to extend that first week of teacher in service through the entire week. So I don't anticipate a big change to the school calendar. And if we were to have a change, I think it would come by that July board meeting. And if anything, it could extend. We always have 3 days of teacher in service before that first start date of students, and it might be to extend that just a couple days. At this time, I don't see a big change, other than if our circumstances were to be altered, which, the day we closed school, March 13th, we used the example that in the morning, our health partners told us we shouldn't be closing school, and by the afternoon, we were told we needed to close school. So anytime we think we have our head wrapped around what decisions are, even to be made, they change. But right now, I don't anticipate a significant change to our calendar.
All right. Anything else that you want to give an update on from the school perspective here as we go through the summer months?
I don't think so. I just appreciate, again, people being patient with us, knowing that I could give a plan right now for what fall looks like. And I think if I did that, people would be very unhappy with it. So we're trying to buy ourselves some time, see where these first, our state's really just in the process of lifting a lot of restrictions in places there were. We need to see how our community reacts to that. We understand what the numbers look like in Minnehaha County, but we also need to make sure as we're slowly getting activities in and students into the school again, and we need to see how our community responds to a little bit more of that action. We have some summer activities going just in the city alone. So these next few weeks are going to be very telling. And so I thank, our community, our parents for trusting that we are working on a plan. We will communicate it as soon as we can. And with any luck, we will, we'll be able to get as many kids as we can back into the school building this fall.
All right. Well, I appreciate the time once again, as always, and thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you, Matt.